Welcome back to Gosa Novel, where every heartbeat echoes through another world. 1. English Story Summary. For video description or trailer, Jiang Zhimiao's journey, from heaven's lightning to the train of fate. Struck dead by lightning in one world, reborn into another, Jiang Zhimiao thought fate had finally shown mercy. Yet the moment she opens her eyes, her noble family is accused of treason, stripped of title and cast into exile. But destiny has other plans. A mysterious voice speaks within her mind, a cosmic train number 12,138, offering her passage between worlds in a strange, onboard mall, where fate can be bought with points. Armed with wit, courage, and an unyielding heart, Jiang Zhimiao begins her struggle to protect her mother and siblings through exile and beyond. A tale where ancient sorrow collides with modern mystery, and every tear might just be worth a fortune.
Chapter 1, A Return Through Time. The vast continent of Changchong. Within the Cloudrise sect, silence lingered beneath the dim veil of dusk. The sky grew heavy and dark. A crescent moon hung above the willow branches. Suddenly, whoosh, a fierce wind howled. Black clouds swirled in madness. Thunder rumbled, boom, boom, while lightning tore the heavens into burning veins of light. In that twilight glow, a young woman sat at the center of the courtyard. Her face flushed crimson, eyes steady with defiance. Her long black hair blazed into a strange green flame. Crash! The silver vial in her hand shattered. A bolt of lightning split the sky, crack, striking down like a flaming serpent, lunging toward her. Blood dripped onto the earth. Moments passed, the stains darkened. Jiang Zhimiao clenched her teeth, her body shuddering violently. She collapsed, pressed against the ground, thunder roaring above her. Crack! Crack! The heavens struck again and again, merciless. Her frame trembled. With fading strength, she lifted one finger, her blurred eyes whispering hoarsely. Heaven and earth. I hate you. The heavens seemed enraged. Lightning fell in torrents, blinding radiance swallowing the courtyard. The thunderous roar shook heaven and earth. Jiang Zhimiao's body was hurled into darkness. All became void. Before her mind dissolved, she knew only this: she had died once more. This was her second life. In her first, she had been born in the grand state of Su. But fate was cruel. At 15, illness devoured her. No medicine could cure her. She withered into a bedridden husk. Her spirit drifted through emptiness, until she opened her eyes again, reborn as an orphan in ancient China. Though bewildered, she gradually accepted her fate. She worked diligently, grew into a young woman of 25. But one evening, after work, while drying her hair with a warm blower, death claimed her again, through an electric shock. Her soul drifted, 1,000 cycles in the void. Then she awakened, on the heavenly continent. Her second rebirth. As an infant, she had been abandoned in a desolate wilderness. Had the Grand Elder of the Cloudrise sect not descended the mountain and found her, she would have perished. Moved by pity, he carried her back. The sect housed orphans, raising them as servants. At 10 years old, each child would be tested for a spiritual root. Those found worthy became disciples. The rest lived as servants forever. Fortune smiled. Jiang Zhimiao awakened not one, but 2 roots, water and wood. Though her talent was average, possession of roots spared her from servitude. The path of cultivation was unlike the mortal world. Progress was slow, yet with effort she held her place among disciples. Until, she forged her foundation. Then came the heavenly tribulation. Lightning fiercer than fate itself struck her down, ending her second life. Resentment. Her soul boiled with it. Chapter 2, The Mother's Warmth. When her eyes opened once more, a powerful force pulled her in. Jiang Zhimiao found herself again within the state of Su. She awoke in the heat of summer, inside a silent chamber. The first sight that met her eyes was a beautiful woman seated by the bed. Her face carried sorrow, yet her hands stitched fabric with care. Her almond-shaped eyes glistened, her brows arched like willow leaves. Fair skin contrasted with her dark hair, bound high in a knot. When the woman saw Zhimiao stir, she gasped and dropped her needle, clink. Her voice trembled with joy. Mei, at last, you are awake. Thanks be to heaven for its mercy. Are you hungry? I will have food prepared at once. She hurried to summon a maid. Soon, steaming dishes filled the table. Zhimiao's eyes brimmed with tears. Her body trembled as she bent forward, eating in great gulps, slurp, slurp. Warmth spread into her chest. That woman, Su Yorong, was her birth mother. Though only a concubine in the household, she had never ceased to love her daughter. Mei, eat slowly, child. Why such haste? You have only just recovered. Do not choke yourself. Her smile wavered, tears glistening with joy. Zhimiao set the bowl down, reached for her mother's arm, eyes full of tenderness. Mother, do not only watch me eat. You must eat as well. From now on, we shall share 3 meals together each day. You must not grow thinner. Su Yorong laughed softly, lifting her chopsticks to join her daughter. You speak like a grown woman already. Very well, I shall heed you. For a moment, she scooped clear broth into a bowl and passed it over. You are still frail. Avoid heavy food and meat. Take light soup for now. In a few days, when you are stronger, I shall ask the kitchen to prepare delicacies for you. Zhimiao drank in great mouthfuls, slurp, warmth flowing through her veins. Then she caught sight of faint lines forming at the corners of her mother's eyes. Tears welled up. Mother, you have suffered so much for me, have you not? Su Yorong smiled, tinged with sorrow. You are of age to wed. It is only natural that your mother grows older. Her brows knit slightly. She lowered her voice in warning. Zhimiao, remember this well. In the rules of this household, a concubine's child must call her mother, honored lady. You may not simply say, mother. Should the first madam hear of it, we shall face trouble. Zhimiao froze for a moment, then bowed her head. Yes, this daughter will remember. In that silence, their hearts beat as one. The bond of mother and child remained unshaken, no matter how fate twisted their lives. Chapter 2, Confiscation and Exile, Part 1 of 2. Jiang Zhimiao let out a soft laugh, replying lightly while drawing her mother Su Yorong closer. Mother, no one is here. I have only just awakened. There is no need to be so strict. Su Yorong tried to look stern, but her daughter's mischievous eyes melted her resolve. She sighed. This time I shall overlook it. But do not overstep again. Should the first madam hear, we would be in danger. Do you understand? Zhimiao giggled, hee, and leaned against her mother's arm, swaying like a spoiled child. So many years apart, her heart had longed to be at her side. Now, reunited, she wished never to let go. Both smiled, their crescent eyes glowing like twin moons. The veranda stretched in calm silence. Green bamboo swayed, sha, sha, under the eaves. A little girl in a lotus pink skirt dashed by, her hair bun messy and bouncing with each step. Behind her, a boy in a pale blue robe gave chase, panting heavily, his fair cheeks flushed red with heat. Still, he refused to stop. "Young miss, slow down. You will fall," cried Bai Lu, who staggered behind, breathless, huff, huff, leaning against a post. She watched the tiny shadows dart around the corner, torn between fondness and dread. Small footsteps drew near. Zhimiao turned. "Elder sister. You are awake at last. Mingzhu missed you so much." The little girl launched forward like a firecracker, bang, and wrapped herself tight around her sister's left leg. Warmth at her ankle stunned Zhimiao for a moment. Then her lips curved in a radiant smile. "Mingzhu, where have you been running about? Why return only now?" Mingzhu tilted her head, answering brightly. "I was playing with brother Jingming next door. But when I heard you had awakened, brother and I rushed back at once." "Are you well now, elder sister? Will you fall asleep again?" asked Minghuai, his voice cautious, as he clung to her other leg. He knew only that his sister had been ill for a long time, so ill that countless physicians failed. Mother wept day after day. He, too young to help, could only keep her company. Now that his sister had awakened, his joy burned so bright it reddened his cheeks. Zhimiao brushed her brother's brow with gentle fingers. "Your sister is well now. I shall not sleep again. Do not frown so, little one. You will wrinkle before your years." At her words, Minghuai broke into a smile, his teeth white as carved ivory beneath the gaze of the bodhisattva. Too endearing for words. "Wonderful. Now sister can play with us again. You slept for so long. Mingzhu is so happy." The little girl rubbed her cheek against the hem of her sister's robe, eyes sparkling. "Ha, at last, I caught up." Bai Lu arrived, laughing breathlessly, ha, ha, holding 2 iron rings in her hands. "Young miss, young master, you run like deer. A servant like me can hardly keep pace." Zhimiao smiled faintly. Children overflow with energy. You, with slender arms and legs, must not force yourself. Bai Lu, the maidservant purchased by Su Yorong at the age of 3, had grown up in this household like family, more sister than servant. "Young miss, you truly are awake." Bai Lu's voice quivered, her eyes moist. These past days, Madame summoned countless physicians. Even the famed elder doctors could do nothing. "I feared you might never open your eyes again." Zhimiao chuckled softly. "See for yourself, I stand before you. Do not cry. If your eyes swell, you will not look pretty." Mingzhu and Minghuai joined in to comfort her. Slowly, Bai Lu's tears dried, leaving her eyelids red. The 2 children giggled, hee, while Bai Lu blushed, stomping her foot, thump, in embarrassment. Su Yorong called the children over. "You have played long enough. You must be hungry. Come eat your fill. The kitchen has prepared much today. But do not make noise to disturb your sister, she still needs rest. Cause trouble, and I shall truly punish you." The siblings startled, nodding quickly, nod, nod. Zhimiao changed the subject, smiling playfully. "Mother, I am well now. The physicians say there is no danger. Please, worry no longer. Yet Su Yorong could not let go of her fears. Still, do not exhaust yourself. Your illness was strange, endless sleep, no other sign. Even great physicians were helpless. Now that you have awakened, at last I may breathe easier. She sighed deeply, relief softening her features. You have risen at last, now this mother may finally rest. Chapter 2, Confiscation and Exile, Part 2 of 2. When the meal was finished, Su Yorong took a lacquered wooden box from the bedside. Click, the clasp opened. She called Bai Lu inside and lifted a folded paper high. Bai Lu, come here. I purchased you when you were 3. 10 years have passed. Today is your birthday. This document is my gift to you. Bai Lu drew a sharp breath and accepted it. It was a contract of release. She dropped to her knees, plop, tears streaming. Madam, my deepest thanks. She kowtowed again and again. Su Yorong hurried to lift her up. Enough, no more kneeling. You have served this household since you were small, as though my own daughter. Keep this contract well. Today Zhimiao has awakened, and it is also your birthday. When the time is right, we shall celebrate properly. But before her words were spent. Rumble. Rumble, noise rose from the courtyard. Zhimiao frowned and opened the door. Outside, chaos reigned like a hive struck apart. What has happened? She demanded. A servant shouted in panic. Disaster. Officials from the city have surrounded the Jiang estate. They declare confiscation of all property. It is said the patriarch committed a great crime. His Majesty is enraged. An imperial decree orders exile to the northern frontier. Quick, into the house, gather what you can. What? Confiscation and exile? Another cried. Take what you can through the back gate, before the soldiers seal the way. Zhimiao's whole body chilled. Thump thump. Thump thump. Her heart pounded. Was this a jest? She had only just awakened, and already fate hurled her into calamity? Su Yorong trembled, tears welling. Zhimiao, what shall we do? The soldiers truly surround us. She stumbled to the money jar and shook it. Clink clink. Take this silver with us. The northern lands are far. Without coin, hardship will be unbearable. Though fear surged like waves, Zhimiao steadied herself. Her fists clenched. She turned to Bai Lu. Bai Lu, you have just been freed from bondage, now a commoner. The officials will not search you as harshly as the family. Hide this money on your person. Leave now, escape the house. Wait for us at the city gate. On the day of exile, return the silver to us there. Bai Lu nodded firmly though her face had gone pale. Yes, my lady. At this moment the elders of the house are at a flower viewing banquet. The household is in turmoil. I shall seize this chance to slip away. She clutched a cosmetic box tight, her hands shaking, then hurried through the back gate, thud, thud. Zhimiao watched, tears brimming but teeth clenched. She raised her hand, signaling. Go! Su Yorong stood stunned, until realization struck. The freedom Bai Lu now held was indeed their path of survival. She gazed at the fading figure, gratitude swelling in her chest. Then, a cold northern wind swept through. The scent of ash and fate drifted across the estate. From this moment on, their lives would never be the same. Chapter 3, The Search for Hidden Treasure. No sooner had Bai Lu slipped past the back gate, thud, thud, then the heavy clatter of horses' hooves and axle guards thundered toward the residence, clang, clang. Armored palace guards poured into the front court in ranks. Everyone, assemble at once. Any who resist shall face execution by law, the captain bellowed, his voice rebounded off the high walls. All prior agreements meant nothing now. Jiang Zhimiao lifted the cloth bundle, drew a deep breath, full, and, taking Mingzhu's and Minghuai's hands, followed the soldiers into the main court. The Jiang clan stood in numbers, pale and trembling, arrayed beneath an odd chill that had chased away the summer heat. At the center of the yard, a woman in dark green shook off the hand that tried to restrain her, swat, her eyes flashing with indignation. How dare you? Do you know who I am? This is the whole residence, not a place for low-born insolence, she cried. The captain laughed, head-out, lifting his chin. Learn to speak correctly. From now on, the whole residence is but property seized by imperial order. The Jiang family is to be detained and exiled to the northern frontier. Do you still fancy yourself important, or do you think the house remains as it was? The woman flared, pointing a finger. Nonsense. My father is loyal and brave, raised to honor by the realm itself. How could they confiscate and exile us? Ridiculous. You shall be jailed for spreading such rumors. The captain only smiled. Ha! Without the emperor's mandate, would the realm allow us to storm the whole residence and act thus? I think not. A maid beside the woman, dressed in dusky pink, hurried to pull her arm down. Mother, be calm. The servants who arrived say this is not mere rumor. Let us observe and then plan. The woman forced a curtsy toward the captain, offering a thin smile. Captain, my mother spoke rashly. I beg you not to take offense. The captain rolled his eyes. Rash? I think deliberate. Ha! Tears pricked at the woman's eyes as she sat on a posture of fragile sorrow. In an instant the captain hesitated, thud, and waved it off. Forget it. She drew her mother aside with a swift, sure movement. Silence, the old house steward cried. Listen while Tong Gonggang reads the imperial edict. Silence fell like a stone. Every gaze fixed on the eunuch who bore a yellow-wrapped scroll. He wore a robe patterned like a python, jade pendants of red and green jingled at his chest. He straightened, flung the wrapper open, flap, and read in a clear ringing voice. By the sovereign punishment endowed by heaven, the emperor proclaims. It has been discovered that Ho, loyal and brave, conspired with nobles of the former dynasty in plots to overthrow the throne. Evidence is conclusive. Therefore, seize the entire estate. In consideration of past merits, punishment is commuted, the family shall not be executed, but the entire clan shall be exiled to the northern frontier. Let this be proclaimed across the realm, receive the imperial decree. When the reading ended, the eunuch folded the edict, click, and looked up with a faint smile. The emperor shows mercy. Be grateful for his benevolence. Jiang Cheng, the clan grandfather, stepped forward slowly, lips compressed, and knelt to accept the decree. I accept the imperial order, he said, his voice low and thin. No sooner had he accepted than the eunuch barked cold commands. You have accepted, now obey. Xiao Lu. Send guards to search the residence, and search the persons. Slaves on the list are to be taken to the penal office. Seal the compound tight, let not even a bird escape. Tears and cries erupted, oh! Wah! Many fainted and fell. A woman in black moved through the crowd, parting people with a sharp eye. Feigning pain or not, I will search them all. Her hands were deft as a master thief's, shoe soles, waistbands, hidden hem pockets, sewn pouches, nothing escaped, snip, snip, and in minutes piles of banknotes lay stacked beside her feet. She straightened, hands on hips, a corner of her mouth twisting. Still intending to fool me? If you value your lives, hand over your hidden goods. Or do not blame me for rough handling. Silence clamped down, the assembled kept their mouths shut and bowed their heads. The female inspector reached Jiang Zhimiao's row. She stood calmly, her clear eyes free of guilt. She had no silver to fear for. The woman searched thoroughly, swipe, press, pat, but found nothing, and moved on. The same with Su Yorong. At last she came to Mingzhu and Minghuai. The children obediently spread their arms, allowing every corner to be checked. Nothing was found. In but 15 breaths, the inspector returned to the front. Gold ingots and silver notes piled high in her tray, clang, clang. She delivered them to the eunuch. The eunuch smiled, pleased, sweeping his gaze across the crowd before tucking the wealth into his robe. Teeth ground in fury, eyes glared with hatred, yet the eunuch ignored them all, fanning himself with velvet. Take them all, detain them in the temporary cells. Faces pale turned paler still. The procession shifted, clatter, clatter, toward the holding prison. Jiang Zhimiao walked among them, heart torn between confusion and fire. So this is fate. Barely awakened, and already stripped and exiled. Then, suddenly, a white light sparked within her mind. Fragments of memory aligned, painting a clearer picture. Her grandfather, Jiang Cheng, in youth had once served the present emperor. Together they battled through chaos, winning glory. He was ennobled as Ho, loyal and brave, holding the seal of command for many years. Her grandmother, Shen Ruyun, bore 4 legitimate sons of the Xing line. Jiang Xingyuan, the eldest, strict, bound by rule. With his wife Shou, he fathered Jiang Mingzhu, the elder legitimate cousin, age 18. Jiang Xingsua, her own father. With his proper wife Lin, he had Jiang Mingjing, age 16, and Jiang Zhiyue, age 13. With concubine Su Yorong, he sired 3, eldest daughter Jiang Zhimiao, age 15, son Jiang Minghuai, age 5, and youngest daughter Jiang Zhiyu, nicknamed Mingzhu, age 3. Jiang Xinbua, a scholar who loved books, married to Zhuang of the Hanlin Academy. They had twins, Jiang Mingyan and Jiang Zhining, age 8. Jiang Xingsua, the 4th uncle, fond of wine and flesh. Yet indulgence had not erased all his fortune. With wife Xiao, he had daughter Jiang Zhili, age 14. Concubines he had in plenty, yet no heir. Concubine Lu Yinyang held his favor. H.
Her eldest aunt, Jiang Panrong, had married into the minister's residence. Her 3 sons were well placed, and authority in that household now lay in her hands. Beyond these, there were also 2 illegitimate sons, Jiang Xingqi and Jiang Xingchen, the family tree tangled like winding rivers. These memories rose one by one, like ink strokes across white paper, before fading again as the procession was herded through the heavy gates. Creak. Chains scraped the ground, clang. The damp stench of confinement filled the air. Zhimiao tightened her hold on Mingzhu, while her other hand gripped Minghui firmly. "It's all right," she whispered slowly. "Your sister is with you." The noonday heat seemed to turn to ice within her chest. A shadow of fate spread over the Jiang clan. So began the countdown toward exile, into the northern frontier, a land none of them had ever dreamed to tread. Chapter 4, A Roller Coaster? The confiscated wealth, chests of gold, stacks of silver, glittering jewels, were dragged out one by one. Creak. Clang. Like locusts stripping a field bare, wherever the soldiers marched, nothing was left but bones. The maids and elderly women listed as bonded servants were bound and dragged to the penal office, left to await their fate. A great tree had fallen, the monkeys scattered. The Grand Ho residence was reduced to an empty husk, hollow and silent. Temporary holding cells of Tianziho, city of Bianjing. Crying filled the women's quarters, sob. Sob, when suddenly, one shrill voice cut through the din. "Heaven and earth! What am I to do?" They once said the Jiang clan was noble. "I thought to marry in and live a life of fortune. And now, before tasting any joy, I am to be dragged to exile in the northern frontier? Is this not the same as killing us alive?" Jiang Zhimiao turned and saw Madame Zhao throw herself to the ground, whump, whump, tears streaking her cheeks. Only moments ago she had held her chin high, unmoved. Now she wept so hard the floor shook. Her cries fanned the flames of despair. The women around her wailed louder still, "Oh! Wah!" The Yao men, runners from the penal office, grew impatient. One bellowed. "This is a holding cell, not your funeral hall. Wailing disturbs my drink and my rest. Cease your noise." He flung a wine jar, crash, its shards silenced every cry. Soon the uproar dwindled, leaving only muffled sobs, sob, sob. When the guards withdrew, Madame Zhao spat, "Tui," her voice sharp as a knife. "Filth. Even my shoes are too fine for you to carry. The Jiang clan is not for the likes of you to trample. Wait until I return, I'll have your hide fed to the dogs." Grandmother Shenruyun went pale, forcing herself upright with trembling hands. "Enough. Do not add sin to your tongue. Beware that misfortune does not follow." Zhao gave a cold laugh. "Spare me. But then tell us, mother, when did the Ho, loyal and brave, conspire with traitors? Was he not the righteous one, loyal to the realm? And now the entire clan is exiled. Is this what it means to be a good grandfather?" Relatives bowed their heads in silence, eyes cast down, but hidden blame flickered within their gaze. Grandmother Shen clenched her fists against the wave of reproach, then collapsed in a faint thud. Madame Zhou rushed to support her, biting her lip, coaxing until she revived. "Fourth sister-in-law, lower your voice. This is imperial command. Why punish the old? She heard the news only when we did." Zhao faltered, guilt pricking faintly. She muttered instead. "High and mighty indeed. Then blame falls on our fathers, it is by their fault we are dragged to exile, is it not?" Jiang Zhili grasped her mother's sleeve, whispering. "Mother, enough. All eyes are on us. Grandmother has only just fainted. Do you wish the world to say we lack all decorum?" Zhao glanced around, meeting 100 sharp stares like drawn blades. Snorting, she withdrew her words. "Fine, fine. Think carefully how we will go on." Mother and daughter returned to their seats in silence. The hall still shook with ragged breaths. Fear spread like damp mist through every chest. In the southeastern corner, Jiang Zhimiao sat hugging her knees in silence. Morning had begun with breakfast, evening ended in a cell. Her mind spun, staring into darkness. Another world, return, then soldiers at the gate. All without reason. She could neither laugh nor cry. Only curses rose in her heart. What fate is this? Did anyone ask if I wished to go? What custom decrees such torment? Her muttering broke off, her ears rang, oh, like a machine humming from afar. She froze, glancing around. All were silent, none had moved. Her brows furrowed. Could it be a voice inside my head? Announcement, train number 12138, route state of subcontinent of Chongchong. Boarding is now open. Jiang Zhimiao's eyes widened in shock. A train? Number 12138. Was the world before her truly tied to such a train? She had not even bought a ticket. The voice seemed to read her thoughts. Notice, this train is in trial mode, those who are chosen may board without a ticket. You are passenger number 8848, entitled to one unlimited seat across the multiverse. Chosen? What nonsense. Zhimiao cursed in her heart. Who asked me? I suffered in the afterworld for years, and now I must ride a train without even a ticket? Complaint received, are you dissatisfied with something? I am dissatisfied with everything. Your train gives no respect to its passengers. Not even a warning, just dragging me here and there, confused like a headless chicken. Recorded, as apology, we grant you a gift package from the onboard mall. We hope to see you again. The voice faded, leaving her with strange words, onboard mall? Was it like Taba or Jingdong in the mortal realm of China? Still pondering, whoosh, white light burst. A translucent screen appeared before her eyes. Passenger information. Name, Jiang Zhimiao. Device ID, 485798874. Type, Unit. Citizen code, 8698745612330. Starting points. 1000. Level, LV.1. Letters floated clear. She swept her hand, another panel flashed open. A catalogue of goods appeared, items from both China and the Sky Continent. Each bore a point value. Empowering Talisman, Sky Continent, cost 2 points. Cold Medicine, China, cost 18 points. It seemed these points were a virtual currency, exchangeable for real goods. In the corner, an exclamation mark blinked. She tapped, beep, and the mall's narration rang in her mind. Onboard mall rules, all items require points to purchase. Points equate to value, 1,000 points equals 1,000 yuan in China, or 1,000 low-grade spirit stones in the Sky Continent. How to earn points: enter the onboard farm, plant, harvest, sell back to the mall. Points transfer upon successful sale. There is also a daily sign-in at the upper left, log in 1 day equals 1 point, log in 7 days straight equals 10 points. Collect 1,000 points to earn 1 chance at a lottery draw. The voice ended. The screen faded, SSSHH. In the holding cells, sobs still lingered. Jiang Zhimiao clenched her fists, thwop. Darkness pressed heavy on fate, yet within that darkness, a glimmer of iron rails lit up in her heart. Train number 12138, the farm, the points. She lifted her head, inhaling deep. So long as there is a path, I will never allow my family to be destroyed. Her words were soft, yet heavy as stone. At the end of the vast rail, the train of destiny rumbled to life, rumble. Waiting only for its passenger. Would she soar aboard, or be cast down? Chapter 5, The Wheel of Fortune. By custom of the onboard mall, every new passenger was granted 1 free lottery spin. The jade wheel turned, were, its golden needle flashing. Jiang Zhimiao drew a deep breath, then pressed down with resolve, click, The wheel spun for only a few moments before halting. The needle stopped at, wall-piercing technique. Zhimiao froze. What? What she had hoped for was the double points bonus, not some strange martial trick. And here she was, confined within a holding cell, guards patrolling every corner. How was she to use such a technique? The golden chance had slipped away. She sighed in her heart. Wall-piercing technique. How to use: open the onboard satchel, tap the item wall-piercing technique, and silently recite the following incantation. Me 11, hua bu la ji. If you do not pull, I shall not miss. The corner of Zhimiao's mouth twitched. This incantation, neither Chinese, nor of the sky continent. Are they mocking me? Asterisk? Still, a prize was better than none. She stored the knowledge away. The onboard farm would unlock only after she reached level 2, requiring 1000 points. She held exactly 1000 points. Had she drawn double points, her path would have been easy. Now she could only laugh bitterly. Suyurong saw her daughter staring blankly, grasping at empty air, asterisk swish, swish asterisk, and panic seized her. She touched her shoulder lightly. Zhimiao, what is it? Are you unwell? We are in a holding cell. We cannot call a physician. Zhimiao blinked, returning to herself. She touched her own cheek, asterisk pat asterisk, and smiled faintly. Your daughter is well, mother. My mind wandered too far just now. I need no rest, only to breathe calmly. She leaned close, whispering. Mother, the money we hid, it is still safe, is it not? Even if we are sent to the northern frontier, with some coin we can still draw breath. Suyurong exhaled, her face easing a little, though her smile was weary. The northern frontier is bitter cold, 10,000 li away. Who knows what dangers lie in wait along the road? Her slender fingers trembled, tears welling though none fell. Zhimiao could only sigh inwardly. Fear of the unknown asterisk, no simple words could ever soothe it. Notice, the train is in trial phase, those who are chosen may board without purchasing a ticket. You are passenger number 8848, entitled to one unlimited seat across the multiverse. Chosen? Utter nonsense. Zhimiao cursed inwardly. Who asked me? I struggled in the afterworld for years, now I must ride a ticketless train? Complaint window, are you dissatisfied with something? I am dissatisfied with everything. Your train shows no courtesy. No warning, no notice, dragging me here and there until I am lost like a chicken with its head cut off. Recorded, as atonement, please accept a gift package from the onboard mall. We hope to see you again. The voice faded, leaving only a strange phrase, onboard mall? Was it like Taba or Jingdong in the mortal realm? Still pondering, whoosh, white light blazed. A translucent panel floated before her eyes. Passenger information. Name, Jiang Zhimiao. Device ID, 485798874. Type, Unit. Citizen code, 8698745612330. Starting points, 1000. Level, LV.1. She swiped her hand, another screen unfurled. A catalog appeared, goods from both China and the Sky Continent, each marked with point values. Empowering Talisman, Sky Continent, 2 points. Cold Remedy, China, 18 points. Clearly these points were a currency, spendable for real things. In the upper corner, an exclamation mark blinked. She tapped, beep, and the mall's narration spoke into her mind. Onboard mall rules. All items are purchased with points. Conversion, 1000 points equals 1000 yuan in China, or 1000 low-grade spirit stones in the Sky Continent. How to earn points: enter the onboard farm, plant, harvest, and sell back to the mall. Points are credited upon successful sale. Daily sign-in, log in once per day for 1 point, complete 7 days in a row for 10 points. Collect 1000 points to earn 1 lottery draw. The voice ceased. The panel slowly dissolved, shoo. Inside the holding cell, muffled sobs still lingered. Zhimiao clenched her fists, flop. Darkness pressed close. Yet in that darkness, a glimmer of iron rails shimmered within her heart. Train number 12138, the farm, the points. She lifted her head, inhaling deeply. So long as a path remains, I will never allow my family to perish. Her voice was soft, yet heavy as stone. At the far end of the boundless rail, the train of destiny rumbled, awaiting only its passenger. Would she rise aboard, or be cast down? Chapter 6, This cook truly knows how to deceive the tongue. Within merely 2 hours, more grim tidings poured in. Not only the Wen clan, but also the Zhang and Wang clans were herded in as well. All were neighbors of the Jiang residents. Zhimiao recalled the Lantern Festival earlier that year. She had stood sipping plum blossom tea with the madams of those 2 households, the memory still fresh. Now, the world was overturned, so it is with human life, exalted in the morning, cast down by nightfall. The women's weeping slowly dwindled. Hoarse cries brought no aid. Only the coarse laughter of the guards echoed in the courtyard above. Heh, heh. Gulp, nah. As they feasted on meat and wine, the sound jarring against the silence of the cells below. Fortune, thin though it was, still flickered. When the lamplight began to wane, the penal runners brought in wooden buckets of food. Clank. The iron gates of the pens opened one by one. In that underground prison there was no sense of time. But by reckoning, this must be the evening meal. For many hours had passed since the midday search of the Jiang estate. Stomachs growled in chorus, grr. Grr. Zhimiao herself was faint with hunger, for days she had scarcely eaten more than scraps. At the call of line up for food, she calmly took her mother Suyurong and the 2 children to the end of the line. The penal runners handed out wooden trays, declaring in clipped tones. Half an hour only. When the bucket is withdrawn, no seconds. If you do not take it yourself, do not expect another. Suddenly, one woman hurled her tray, crash, and shrieked. What is this swill? Not fit for dogs. And you dare present it to me, the 4th wife of the loyal and brave Ho. Go look in a chamber pot before you dare show your face to me. The runner's head snapped around, his face black with fury. The Jiang clan's property is confiscated. From this moment, you are convicts, and I am the officer. Still dare to parade your status? If you will not eat, then starve. But hear me well, I will stand guard. If anyone dares feed you behind my back, I'll punish them, and not just tonight, but for every meal to come. As his hand fell to the sword at his waist, the entire cell shrank into silence. Heads bowed, trays lifted, between tasteless gruel and starvation, none dared choose the latter. Madame Zhao nearly retorted again, but the gleam of steel at the edge of her vision made her swallow her words. Her face turned pale. Jiang Zhili, standing nearby, narrowed her eyes at the scene. Foolish woman, if you must rage, at least wait until you've eaten your fill. Resentment smoldered in her chest, especially recalling the hidden rations for 2 she had risked much to stash away. Zhimiao received her tray, rough brown rice, boiled cabbage, and egg soup. Plain fare, as expected. Suyurong and the children sat together to eat. The food was even more bland than midday, but hunger gave it weight, and they ate slowly. The 2 children, not truly starving after their last meal, frowned after a few bites. The cabbage was wilted and tasteless, as though boiled in plain water, not a single grain of salt remained. The so-called egg soup barely deserved the name. Not a shred of egg could be seen. Zhimiao lowered her gaze. The prison cook is a master of deception indeed, skilled at tricking the tongue. No words were needed to know the kitchen was profiting greatly. Each bite was thinner than air, wind itself seemed more filling. She forced down the last mouthful of greens, gulp. Then rose at once to return the tray. One to mind the children, the other to deliver the dishes. Better to keep order than stir trouble. The runner still stood watch, glowering from Madame Zhao's earlier outburst. So returning the trays was quick. Half an hour passed swiftly. As he left, he cast Madame Zhao another sharp glare. She opened her mouth to retort, then glimpsed the hilt at his waist. And the words dried in her throat. When the iron door shut, clang, Jiang Zhili sat beside her mother. Seeing Madame Zhao ready to flare up again, she quickly grasped her hand, giving a gentle squeeze. A silent signal, do not stir more trouble. When Madame Zhao stilled, Zhili drew out a hidden rice ball and pressed it into her palm in silence. Mother, the Jiang clan is no longer the Jiang clan of yesterday. If heaven still shows mercy, one day we may rise again. But if heaven withholds mercy? For now, survival is the truest law. Restrain yourself, plan carefully, and endure. The words struck deep. Madame Zhao's eyes widened, then she slowly nodded, She put the rice ball to her lips, chewing at last. The reasoning was sound. Yet in her heart she still seethed. Once I am free, I will drag that man out and teach him a lesson he will never forget. A flicker in her eyes was enough to chill the bone. Zhili, seeing the look, offered no more admonition. She simply sat still, watching the candle flame, flicker, flicker. Sway with the draft through the vent, praying it was only a false omen, not another curse to come. On Zhimiao's side, she clasped Su Yorong's hand gently. Mother, endure a little longer. Once tonight has passed, tomorrow may bring clarity. Su Yorong nodded, pulling Mingzhu and Minghui into her arms. In the damp, narrow cell, the sound of soldiers' boots, thud, thud, rolled past like waves of iron. Her eyes brimmed with tears, yet she forced them not to fall. Zhimiao leaned her head against the cold wall, her gaze alight. The onboard farm, the points, the wall-piercing technique. Though tonight's meal had been tasteless enough to numb the tongue. So long as she could scheme, her family would not starve. No matter how sly the prison cook's tricks, she would not yield. In the darkness, the growl of a guard's stomach echoed, grrrkk. Zhimiao's lips curved in a faint smile. A belly is still a belly. No matter whose family, no matter who they are, all must eat, all must live. Her path of survival would begin from that simplest truth. Chapter 7, Exile, 2 days away. Another holding cell in Tianziho. In another prison block of Tianziho, the oil lamp, flicker, flicker, cast wavering shadows upon damp stone walls. Jiang Xingyuan sat close beside grandfather Jiang Qing, lowering his voice gently. Grandfather, do not lose hope yet. Perhaps there may still be a way to turn this around. Grandfather Jiang leaned back against the wall, one hand hidden within wide sleeves draped across his knee. He sighed heavily, his clouded eyes still burning faintly with fire. The imperial edict had been proclaimed. No matter who spoke up now, the verdict could not be undone. The victor is crowned king, the defeated branded rebel. Even Prince Qi, a royal son, had been banished to guard a fief and never allowed to return to the capital. What chance then had the Jiang clan? If not for Prince Qi's reckless haste to seize the throne, perhaps their fate would not have come to such ruin. Grandfather Jiang ground his teeth, grrrk, hatred searing to the bone. Jiang Xingshua sprawled upon the cold floor, his voice still arrogant. Grandfather, listen to elder brother. The Jiang clan is not without allies. I have many friends in Bianjing, sworn brothers, one and all. Now that I suffer hardship, surely they will come to aid me. He waved a broad hand, a careless smile upon his lips. Grandfather Ji.
Aang's temper flared at once. His finger nearly jabbed his son's nose. Friends? You spend your days in brothels, gambling dens, wine shops, cockfights. What good friends are those? If the clan must rely on the likes of you, I fear our exile would have come even sooner. Still not sated, he thundered on. You have lived without restraint for far too long, yet still dream of the honor of yesterday? The fall of the Jiang clan echoes like a thunderclap. All under heaven will flee from us. If they do not trample us further, it will already be mercy. Do not daydream. Xingshua raised his chin, defiant. I once swore brotherhood with the new Grand Justice of Dali Temple. He will not endure seeing his sworn brother in hardship. We vowed before heaven and earth. If he does not help me, then may lightning strike me down. The more he spoke, the bolder he grew. Grandfather, be at ease. Grandfather Jiang's hidden hand twitched, whoosh, as though he wished to strike the fool across the face. Yet he forced himself to swallow the fury, breathing long and deep. Jiang Xinghua and Xingshua, seeing the elder's wrath about to erupt, quickly moved to steady him, fearful that anger would overcome his strength. Just then, clank, Yao Men, the warden, brought in a bucket of food. A faint aroma of steamed rice drifted through the cell. Xingshua's eyes flashed dark. He drew out a fragment of silver tail hidden under his arm. When the officer handed him a tray, he slipped the silver into the man's palm, whispering, "Brother, a small token of gratitude. One question, when will the order of exile be given?" Yao Men weighed the silver, then tucked it into his belt. A grin spread across his face. A low-ranked officer earned but 1 or 2 taels a month. How else to feed a family without such gifts? He leaned close, speaking softly. "Word from above is, in 2 days the march begins. Beyond that, I know nothing." The short reply struck like thunder to the skull. Xingshua's face went numb, his chest felt crushed beneath 1,000 catty stone. "HK." He bowed in thanks, then turned to grandfather Jiang, lips tight. "Grandfather, Yao Men says in 2 days, the Jiang clan will be driven forth, condemned to exile. The judgment is final." Though spoken softly, the words resounded in every chest, like lightning tearing the plain. Faces in the cell blanched white. The faint hope of moments before was snuffed out, leaving only emptiness. Xingshua, who had pinned his faith on sworn brothers, found his appetite vanish. Even the bland rice became tasteless. After only 2 or 3 bites, he set down his tray. The mood thickened into another layer of gloom. Under the dim, flickering candlelight, flicker, flicker. The fear of the unknown crept in, filling the prison hole. Jiang Zhimiao sighed. Jiang Zhimiao had not yet heard the news that in merely 2 days the clan would be driven into exile. What she knew was simple: she must prepare herself. Summer heat pressed fiercely. Marching tens of li each day would soak the body in sweat and stench. Just thinking of it left her helpless. Fortunately, the onboard mall carried all manner of goods. Some of them truly useful. Leaning against the cold wall, she summoned the mall's window in silence. Beep. She suddenly recalled she had forgotten the daily check-in. At once she tapped the corner. A red hook appeared, followed by floating script. "Congratulations. +1 point. Remaining points, 1001. Points are as precious as gold, spend them with care. A fly may be small, yet still it is flesh. 1 point is still 1 point. Had she forgotten, it would have been wasted. 7 days of continuous check-ins would earn 10 points. But if the chain was broken, the count reset to 1 again. Her path to level 2, requiring 1,000 points, would only fall farther behind. I must never forget again. She swept the screen, swish. A dazzling tide of merchandise unfurled. The images were sharp, the narration clear, enough to dazzle her eyes. Though she had wandered across the Middle Kingdom and the Sky Continent, her life as a pauper meant this was her first time beholding such marvels. For a long moment she was entranced, nearly lost in desire. At last she drew back, steadying her mind. Necessities first. She had only 1,001 points, they must be spent with utmost care. Anything priced at 400 or 500 points or higher. She forced herself to scroll past with a flick of her finger, flick. Half the catalog vanished from sight in an instant. If she could not buy, she would not dream. Looking alone was torment enough. Swallowing hard, she pressed down the envy rising within. Someday, when her points had grown, she would seize those treasures with her own 2 hands. Chapter 8, The Ice Firefly Bracelet. If wishes could be granted, she would have turned all the wealth from both worlds into points long ago. Before returning to the Sky Continent, she had left behind 20,000 yuan and her bank card back in China. Every coin was sweat from her youth, earned bit by bit at 25 years of age, hard to make, harder to save, but saved nonetheless. If converted, it would amount to no less than 20,000 points. The thought alone stung her throat. How bitterly unjust. As for the sky continent, though her sect tasks had been as small as pulling weeds, the little things had piled up. She had earned no fewer than 30,000 low-grade spirit stones. Together, the two worlds would be worth no less than 50,000 yuan. And yet here she was, counting every coin, fretting over every point. What use is such stinginess now? Thinking further was fruitless. Better to lower her head and decide what she could buy instead. With a sweep of her finger, swish, the catalogue scrolled. Her gaze caught upon a bracelet of glowing green jade, shimmering like fireflies, light as mist and cool to the eyes. The tag read only 50 points, not expensive at all. Its name, Ice Firefly Bracelet. A familiar item from the sky continent. Ice Firefly Bracelet. Fear neither heat nor stifling nights. This bracelet combines cooling breezes with mosquito and insect warding in one band. Wear it and sleep till dawn in unbroken rest. Crafted from frozen bloom petals, black fluorite, streamer silk, and rosemary water. Zhimiao rolled her eyes. The wording sounded exactly like some Taobao street pitch. Had it not been verified as an item from the sky continent, she would have sworn it came with a 9.9 special, free delivery. Still, during exile, necessities meant lighter burdens. If a condition can be eased, why torment oneself further? She despised the act of begging from others more than anything. So long as she could rely on herself, she would not extend her hand. Thus she pressed purchase without hesitation, for at once. Chapter 8, The Ice Firefly Bracelet. Yet, wearing such a gleaming bracelet upon her wrist would be like shouting to thieves, "Come rob me." So Zhimiao searched through the menu and found a function for item synthesis within her pack. She chuckled softly. Good, this wondrous bracelet, I shall blend with blurgrass. That weed grows everywhere on the sky continent, who would spare it a glance? She spent only 4 points to buy the grass, then fused it with the bracelet, whoosh. What emerged was nothing more than a rough hemp cord, plain and ordinary. Worthless to the eye perhaps, but at least it would draw no attention. Worn upon her wrist, it seemed no more than a peasant's twine bangle, surely no lure to bandits. Zhimiao turned the straw bracelet in her hand and smiled faintly. Though it looks but straw, within it hides the cool and the shield against insects. That is value enough. She glanced at her mother, Su Yorong, still sunk in thought, tears brimming at the corners of her eyes. Mingzhu and Minghuai had already fallen asleep, their small chests rising and falling in even breaths. Taking the chance, Zhimiao drew out more straw and began weaving. Fresh in her mind were the lessons from the newly purchased Encyclopedia of Advanced Straw Weaving. In a short while, her slender fingers had braided an elegant pattern, nesting the glowing bracelet within and covering it over with common straw fibers. From outside, it looked no different from a child's plaything. Yet hidden within was a treasure warding off heat and mosquitoes. She laughed softly, a quiet pride in her voice. With this, I need not worry further. As for why she had not gifted it to her father, she thought only, we are not close. Not even as close as I am to the yellow dog at home. Her thoughts were interrupted by the faint sigh, HAA, of Su Yorong. Zhimiao held her tongue and let silence reign, allowing fate to drift forward on its own course. Chapter 9, The Bond of Siblings Shines Bright. She finished weaving late into the night. Gazing at the 3 strands of straw cord in her hand, her eyelids grew heavy until she drifted into sleep. Jiang Zhimiao felt as though a mountain pressed upon her chest. She struggled to move, dazed, until she opened her eyes and saw 2 children clinging to her, laughing aloud. They had forgotten the fear and sorrow of yesterday. Their joy at seeing her again sparkled pure and bright. The 2 little ones lay sprawled upon her, wriggling restlessly. In truth, their trick worked well. Before long, their movements roused Zhimiao from slumber. She stretched out her arms and gathered them close. Their small faces beamed with wide grins. Without hesitation she kissed them again and again, drawing shrieks of laughter that echoed into the morning. No wonder these two little imps tormented her so. Looking closely, none of them had truly remained asleep. The moment she returned to the homeland of their hearts, Zhimiao had let her guard fall. Relaxing at last and sleeping until noon. Elder sister. Did you weave this straw cord yourself? It's so pretty. Minghui lifted his wrist, speaking with conviction. Elder sister, it's beautiful, Mingzhu likes it too. Mingzhu pressed close against her, her small body warm, a faint scent of milk still upon her breath. Zhimiao embraced them both, rocking gently, smiling. I am glad you like it. Last night I wove these especially for you. They carry your sister's heart. I hope you will always wear them upon your wrists. The children's eyes lit with delight. Hearing that their elder sister had crafted these for them alone filled them with joy. They clung to her, calling, elder sister, without end, their happiness brimming over. Su Yurong watched the smiles of the siblings. And for a moment, the grief in her heart eased. She glanced at the straw cord upon her wrist and asked softly. Mayor, when did you learn to weave straw? You are quite skilled. Zhimiao replied without the least shyness. I only thought of it yesterday. Last night, bored, I played with straw, yet somehow it became this. Then she added. I remembered long ago how to weave grasshoppers and such things. These are but trifles for me. I did not expect to have a talent for straw weaving. The young girl waved her hand as if helpless. Chapter 10, Farewell to Kin and Friends. Jiang Zhimiao had hoped to purchase more strengthening medicine for Su Yurong. But fate mocked her, those potent elixirs were rare loot boxes, each limited to a single purchase. Even with enough points, she could buy no more. All she could do was sigh. Some goods in this strange on-board mall could only be acquired when they dropped into circulation, like recovery elixirs or strengthening pills, unlike talismans, which bore no such limit. Once she understood this truth, she could only accept it. To keep her sky-soaring sandals from drawing suspicion, she bought 4 stalks of blurgrass to synthesize them into ordinary straw slippers. Outwardly plain, they still retained the essence of the hidden treasure. Sky-soaring sandals. Adjust size automatically. Walk 50 miles a day without fatigue. Self-cleaning function. Lifespan, 180 days. Such an item was beyond price for a journey of exile. When her current shoes wore out, these would be ready at once. Leaving the prison. For 2 days, Jiang Zhimiao had openly woven straw sandals, stringing them on cords around her waist. Cold glances meant nothing to her. The moment she left the prison gates with her family and fellow convicts, she walked with steady bearing amid the sneers of the crowd. The strong must endure a loneliness that ordinary folk cannot bear. So she comforted herself. By the law of the great Su dynasty, all grown men were chained. Even boys under 15 were not spared. Only children below 3 years of age escaped the shackles. Thus Zhimiao, Su Yurong, and the children followed slowly behind. Their steps driven onward by the sharp crack of Yao Min's whip, snap. Beyond the prison walls, the men's team awaited. After thorough counting, the entire procession moved toward the city gates. Along the way, townsfolk lined both sides, their eyes filled with scorn. Some hurled rotten vegetables and spoiled eggs, shouting, "Traitors!" By fortune, the Jiang family was near the rear of the column. They suffered only a few stray leaves upon their shoulders. At the city gates, other families bound for exile gathered. Relatives rushed forward, pressing food and goods into shackled hands, their eyes brimming with tears. Yao Min announced coldly, 15 minutes only. Su Yurong, sold into the Jiang clan when still a girl, had no kin left to send her off. She watched the others receive parting gifts, envy stinging her eyes, tears slipping free. Zhimiao too glanced anxiously at the gate. Still no sign of Bai Lu. Only as the time was nearly spent did Bai Lu appear, running hard, face drenched with sweat, arms laden with bundles. Madam. Young miss. Ha. I made it. Here are food, supplies, and common medicines, purchased with 100 taels. The rest is untouched. Su Yurong could no longer hold back her tears. Thinking they might never meet again, she seized the chance, slipping 2 land deeds into Bai Lu's hand, whispering through sobs. Keep these, child. If we do not return, you will have a place to live. Bai Lu shook her head, refusing through tears. Madam, I was an orphan. Had you not bought me, I would have long been dead. Freedom from slavery is gift enough. I cannot accept this. Zhimiao interjected firmly. Bai Lu, take them. Think of it as our hiring you. Collect rent in our stead, half of it yours. Only then did Bai Lu relent, tucking the deeds into her sleeve, her tears falling even as a strained smile appeared. Young miss. Bai Lu will guard them with her life. First steps toward exile. The allotted time ended. Kin and friends wept their farewells. The column was urged onward once more. Zhimiao clasped the 2 little ones to her chest, turned, and waved farewell to Bai Lu. Then stepped forward with the line, onto a road from which there was no return. That day, though the sky shone bright and clear, the hearts of the exiled were clouded with a mist no sun could dispel.
Chapter 11, Opening the Bundle. Seeing the distant look on Su Yurong's face, Jiang Zhimiao gently coaxed her 2 or 3 times, then spoke softly. If fate has decreed it, there is no need to weigh your heart with worry. Her words pulled Su Yurong back to herself. When she lifted her gaze, she saw Mayer carrying Mingzhu and Minghuai in both arms, while also holding 2 heavy bundles. She hurried forward to help, but Mayer refused with a smile. Mother, it is nothing, the girl said, hugging the children tighter. I am not tired in the least. The truth is, I have been stronger than ordinary folk since childhood. I kept silent for fear of mockery, but I was born with strange strength. This weight is no burden to me. Su Yurong was astonished. She had lived with her daughter for years and never knew she possessed such power. Yet seeing the steady glow upon the girl's face, she believed without hesitation. Still, since Mayer had only recently recovered from illness, she dared not let her bear everything alone. At last, Mayer yielded and handed her a smaller bundle. Thanks to the great strength bracelet, much of the burden was eased. The journey of exile, though heavy, became somewhat more bearable. But in truth, if struck down directly, the added weight of that strength, more than 200 jin, would crush her into death or crippling injury at once. Su Yurong herself had been born into poverty. In her youth, she had carried loads through the market. Though her body was sturdy, this burden pressed cruelly upon her shoulders. Still, she endured, for toil was etched into her bones. Others in the procession, however, lacked such resilience. Scarcely a few li beyond the city gate, loud wails burst forth. Zhimiao turned and saw Jiang Zhimiao and his wife collapse to the ground, crying and refusing to move. Their voices rose together in eerie unison, husband and wife lamenting like twins in sorrow. The display irritated the Yao Min guards to no end. 2 sharp lashes of the whip, crack, crack, and the pair fell silent at once. Those watching took the lesson. The method of killing the chicken to warn the monkeys proved most effective. Grandfather Jiang sighed deeply, nearly grinding his teeth to powder from shame. But Grandmother Zhang's heart ached bitterly. To see her son flogged tore at her soul, yet she dared not utter a word, fearing the soldiers' whips. After 10 li, they reached a so-called post station. But it was only a narrow shack, with broken bunk beds, dust, mildew, and the stench of decay, filthier than any prison cell in the capital. Zhimiao and Su Yurong had no choice but to clean as best they could. They spread straw mats and laid down Mingzhu and Minghuai, who whimpered hungrily. Mayer soothed them gently, even as she carefully untied the bundle Bai Lu had entrusted to them. Inside were 2 roast chickens, medicine and provisions in abundance. Clothes, shoes, cooking utensils, and grains. Bai Lu's preparations had been thoughtful indeed. Her 100 taels had been spent with wisdom, most of it on medicine. Knowing well that those who lived on coarse grains fell ill easily. With remedies at hand, their chances of survival grew far greater. Chapter 12, Hard Pancakes. The roast chickens they had received could not be kept long. In this summer heat, with no place for storage, meat left the whole day would spoil. Fortunately, it had not yet turned sour. So Jiang Zhimiao tore it apart and divided it among the 4 of them, just enough to fill their bellies. Su Yurong wanted to stop her. Her daughter had only just recovered, greasy food should not be eaten so freely. Yet she thought of the long road ahead. Without strength, they could not walk. So she let it be. On this first day of exile, many relatives had still come to send gifts. Thus their food was far better than that of others. Envious eyes watched from all around. But none dared reach out. Yao Min's soldiers stood guard. Before long, a soldier's shout rang out, calling all to line up for rations. The food distributed was hard pancakes. Made from coarse flour and brown rice. Thick, heavy, difficult to chew. But able to last 3 to 5 days without spoiling. Zhimiao stepped forward to collect the share for her family. The standard was 3 for grown men, 2 for youths, 2 for women, and 1 for each child. The portions were not generous, yet enough to fill 7 or 8 tenths of the stomach. And because the cakes were so hard, chewing took long, creating the illusion of fullness. Wang Wu, the Yao Min soldier in charge of rations, watched the young girl who stood in line. She carried 2 children in her arms, heavy bundles at her side. Yet her stance was steady, her breath unlabored. Inwardly, he marveled. What a pity she was a woman, and a convict at that. Were she a man, she might have made her name in the army. After asking her name and number, he handed her the rations without hesitation. Zhimiao took them and hurried back. She broke the hard cakes and gave pieces to Mingzhu and Minghuai, urging them to eat slowly. The children bit once and their faces puckered, eyes brimming with tears. Pitiful sight, it nearly tore her heart apart. Mayer herself could only smile through her own tears, taking bites of the leftover roast chicken, soothing the children as best she could in that moment of hardship. Chapter 13. The path to immortality is no easy road. Jiang Zhimiao set down the bowl, stepped forward, and gathered little Mingzhu into her arms. She stroked the child's head gently and asked with a soft voice, "What troubles you, my dear?" Tears welled in Mingzhu's eyes as she whispered, voice trembling. "Elder sister, the hard pancake cut my lip. It hurts so much. Blow on it for me, will you? The pain will go away." Zhimiao gazed into those glistening eyes, her heart aching with pity. She bent down and blew gently upon the child's lip. As though touched by magic, the pain eased at once. Fortunately, the wound was shallow, a mere red mark, no blood spilled. After a few tender words of comfort, the little girl smiled again, without need of medicine. Once the pain had passed, Mingzhu recovered swiftly, like morning dew vanishing at first light. She bit into the hard pancake once more, unafraid, and this time did not injure herself, as though she had already learned her lesson. Mingzhu and Minghuai sat together on a straw mat, chewing the coarse cakes with delight, laughing between bites, forgetting entirely the misery of moments before. Zhimiao could only shake her head with a smile. Children were strange creatures indeed. Bitten lips forgotten, their laughter bright as ever. Yet, seeing their joy, all the weariness of the day melted from her heart. She pulled out the half-roast chicken that remained, devoured it all in one sitting, then lay back upon the ground, her stomach so full she could not help but burp aloud. Sated and warm, Zhimiao opened the system store and checked her points. Her fingers tapped the screen almost by habit. She had missed 2 days of sign-ins. Now, her balance showed 484 points. Sigh. I must gather a full 1,000 points to unlock the second stage. And open the spirit farm. But in just 2 days, I have already spent more than 500. At this pace, I'll never reach it in time. Her chest tightened with impatience, and she exhaled a long breath. The greasy roast chicken had left her lips and hands filthy. And she had spent yet more points to buy detergent powder to wash. She muttered with frustration. If I were still on the Sky Continent, a single spell of cleansing would have solved everything. For the past 2 days, she had also attempted to cultivate. Yet in the lands of Great Su, the spiritual energy was thin and weak. Even after hours of meditation, not a single wisp could she gather. It seemed clear, without a bone-cleansing pill, the path of immortality would remain out of reach. But such a pill was a treasure beyond price, found only in the surprise chests of the system. And the cost of those was far too high for her to touch. Zhimiao shook her head and tucked the thought deep away. Chapter 14, A Sudden Fall. What I need most right now is detergent. Opening the system shop, Jiang Zhimiao selected a small porcelain bottle. 150 milliliters of cleansing liquid. It cost 8 points, plus 1 extra to disguise the container as an ordinary porcelain flask. Though it cost more, it was worth it. Better to avoid suspicion than invent excuses later. Once the purchase was complete, she fetched a kettle of water and made her way to the nearby well, intent on washing her hands. Crash. The ground shook with the sound. Zhimiao startled, head snapping up. A young man had fallen forward, face first to the earth. What in the world, she muttered. How could such a tall, sturdy youth collapse on level ground with no obstacle? The young man struggled to rise, yet failed again and again. Sweat poured down his pale jaw, pain twisted his features. Zhimiao hesitated. If she helped and were accused falsely later, it could bring trouble. Yet her heart stirred with pity. Forget it. If I leave him here, I'll have nightmares for sure. She stepped forward and lifted him up. Only then did she recognize him. Wen Zhuxing, the youth from the same household where Mingzhu and Minghuai once played. He raised his head and, seeing her, smiled faintly. Thank you, young Mississippi. Without you, I could not have risen. Zhimiao waved her hand quickly. It is nothing. Are you badly hurt? His face was pale, breath coming too fast. Worry flickered in her heart. Yet Wen Zhuxing only smiled weakly, cupping his hands in salute. Merely weakness of the body. Nothing for you to fear. Since he insisted he was fine, Zhimiao did not press further. She was not one to pry into others' affairs. She nodded lightly and let the matter rest. Chapter 14, The Wen Clan's Unexpected Ruin. Jiang Zhimiao still had tasks to finish. She nodded lightly, turned toward the well, but had not taken 2 steps when, bang! The sound rang out again, exactly as before. Though she had not looked back, she already knew. The young man had fallen once more. Turning, she saw Wen Zhuxing sprawled upon the ground. His features twisted in pain, the veins at his temple bulging. Once again, she had no choice but to help him up. Were it not for the bond of childhood? Her younger siblings Mingzhu and Minghuai once played with him. She would not have bothered. But for that friendship, she chose to show kindness. Noticing the scratches beneath his fine brows, Zhimiao felt a pang of pity. A face that should have been handsome now bore faint traces of fragility, making him look even more pitiable. She guided him to sit beside the well. You are not ready to walk, she said firmly. Rest here first. Wen Zhuxing nodded, his weary frame sinking down. The steady sound of water dripping into the well carried his thoughts away, drawing forth bitter memories of his family's ruin. He recalled the rumors that had spread, that the Jiang clan's wealth had been seized, their family exiled for conspiring with traitors. The Wen clan lived nearby, and soon suspicion fell upon them as well. Panic swept through their household, and before long eunuchs arrived with soldiers. The fear became truth. The Wen family too was sentenced, their property confiscated, their line cast into exile. All because of one imperial concubine of one blood. She had schemed with rebels, leveraged her influence at court, even plotted against the favored consort, causing her miscarriage of the heir. The emperor's wrath had been fierce, though tempered with mercy. Punishment could not be escaped. The Wen clan was stripped of all and driven into exile. So fleeting is human life. One day exalted as though in heaven, the next, cast lower than the dust. Such were Zhuxing's thoughts. His amber eyes dimmed with sorrow, yet tinged with acceptance of fate. Zhimiao studied his straight back, the twilight cloaking them both. Even in stillness, his bearing remained dignified, untarnished by disgrace. She drew water deftly from the well, used the detergent she had purchased from the system, and scrubbed her hands clean. Then she offered the kettle to him. You are still weak. Do not force yourself. I have drawn the water for you. Wen Zhuxing accepted it, bowing slightly. Thank you, young Mississippi. Zhimiao smiled gently. Now that we are all exiles, what need have we of rigid rules between man and woman? Better we show kindness to one another. Zhuxing was silent a moment, then spoke evenly. Men and women should know their bounds. But since you speak thus, I understand. He coughed lightly, color returning faintly to his pale cheeks. She laughed softly, offering her hand to steady him. My name is Jiang Zhimiao. Ji means to know, Miao means illusion. And you? Wen Zhuxing, he replied with a faint smile. Zhu for bamboo, Xing for thought. Wen Zhuxing, she said with a bright smile, eyes nearly closed with mirth. Well said. I shall remember it. Her simple words carried warmth like shade on a summer day. That smile eased the heaviness in his heart. Together, the two returned to the post station, walking side by side, as if, in this exile, each had found a companion in misfortune. Chapter 15, The Wild Man. Mingzhu and Minghuai sat on the straw mat, gazing out as if searching for their elder sister, Jiang Zhimiao. Suddenly both their eyes lit up and they dashed to Wen Zhuxing, who was sitting not far away. Mingzhu, small but brave, crept over and flung herself, hugging his calf tightly. Wen Zhuxing, who had been talking with Jiang Zhimiao, started slightly. He had not noticed the little girl approach. When he looked down, he found a compact, fair child with round, shining eyes and an innocent grin clinging to his leg. He was taken aback for a moment. Aside from his own brother at home, he had never been so close to any child. Mingzhu clapped her tiny hands and announced in a clear little voice, Big brother, you are so handsome. Mingzhu likes you. Jiang Zhimiao gave a wry smile. Her little sister always lost herself before anything pretty. This time it wasn't an object but a person. Sorry, my sister is always like this. When she likes something she can't help herself, Jiang Zhimiao apologized. Wen Zhuxing only offered a gentle smile and replied softly, It's all right. The child is charming. Hearing that, Mingzhu blushed and buried her face in Jiang Zhimiao's arm, though she kept sneaking glances at the young man, her eyes a jumble of shyness and delight. Jiang Zhimiao stroked her sister's head, then turned to Wen Zhuxing. Dusk is near. You should rest. Shall I take you back? Wen Zhuxing shook his head faintly. Not necessary. I feel stronger now. The road is not far, do not trouble yourself. Jiang Zhimiao nodded and led Mingzhu and Minghui back inside. But before they could cross the threshold, a woman stepped forward to block them. She was Zhao, sharp-tongued and haughty, her eyes full of contempt. You little thing, she sneered. You have no shame. Banished for only a day and you're already seeking a man to comfort you. You pretended to be ill just to sneak out and find a fellow, shameless to the last. How disgraceful. How can the Jiang family have someone like you? You're utterly without shame. Jiang Zhimiao's face darkened. She did not wish for conflict, yet the provocation was relentless, she could not remain silent. She pressed her lips together and answered coldly, This is my business. Why do you meddle? Hasn't the whip across your back taught you anything? Before the words were finished, Zhao shrieked in fury and lashed out. Jiang Zhimiao moved with quick grace and sidestepped. Zhao overbalanced and fell hard, a thud. The cry of pain drew every eye. Zhao tried to rise but collapsed again, face contorted in agony. Jiang Zhili rushed to support her mother and glared at Jiang Zhimiao. Sister. You have gone too far. Mother only warned you, how dare you strike an elder? Whispers rippled through the room, some showing pity for the fallen, others casting accusatory looks at Jiang Zhimiao. She stood unmoving, her gaze sharp as a blade, eyes reddened with anger. Her pulse thudded, her voice came out steady and firm. If anyone steps on me again, I will not merely trim the grass, I'll uproot it to the roots. At those words the room fell silent. People looked at her as though seeing a flame ready to blaze. Chapter 16, Battle between Uncle and Niece. Jiang Xingshua roared with fury. I am not yet dead. How dare you strike the fourth chamber before my very eyes? From now on, I shall deal with you myself. He rolled up his sleeves and strode straight toward Jiang Zhimiao. Brother 4, calm yourself. Jiang Xingshua quickly raised a hand to stop him. Let me ask clearly first. He turned to Zhimiao, his face heavy with disappointment. Miao Miao, you've caused such chaos. Why do you not hurry and apologize to your fourth uncle and aunt? You are far too obstinate. I am deeply disappointed in you. Zhimiao's eyes chilled. She flicked her hand dismissively. Whether you are disappointed or not, that is your matter, not mine. How dare you speak so to my father, shouted Lin, son of Jiang Xingshua, his voice burning with rage. Zhimiao's gaze snapped toward him. And what of it? I speak only the truth. Zhao was the one who provoked us first. None of you came to defend us. Now you force me to apologize? I will not. Jiang Xingsua's face darkened further. Ungrateful child. We raised you for years, and you dare speak this way? Very well. Today let your fourth uncle teach you a lesson, so you may learn right from wrong. He turned to Jiang Xingshua. Brother 4, strike. This child was raised wrong. It is time she learned discipline. Hearing this, Jiang Xingshua clenched his fists and stepped forward amid the murmurs of the gathered crowd. The duel between uncle and niece was about to begin. The elders of the Jiang clan watched with secret delight. This stubborn girl had grown far too unruly. If not taught now, she would never know her place. Jiang Xingshua's eyes blazed. He sank his breath into his dantian, fists tightening, and lunged forward. But Jiang Zhimiao stood calm, lips curved in a faint, confident smile. Whoosh! She slipped aside with serpent-like speed, his fist missing by a breath. In the same motion, she spun and lashed out with a kick swift as lightning. Though Jiang Xingshua had once practiced martial arts, years of indulgence had left him weakened. He barely twisted aside in time. The struggle lasted but a moment. Zhimiao suddenly clenched a talisman in her palm, hidden from all eyes, and flung it with unseen force. Ah! Jiang Zhimiao froze where he stood, bound as though by invisible cords. Unable to move, he staggered helplessly. Zhimiao seized the opening and drove her kick into his side. Thud! He crashed to the ground. Gasps erupted all around. None had imagined that the famed uncle could be felled by his young niece so decisively. Jiang Zhili, who had been watching, was struck dumb. He had been ready to cheer his father's victory, only to see him kicked down, nearly spitting blood. Rage flared within him at once. Grandfather Zhang's face turned ashen. Grandmother rushed forward, cradling her fallen son, weeping and cursing Zhimiao bit. Early. Ungrateful wretch. Is this what a Jiang disciple has become? To dare strike her elders. Her shrill cry rang through the hall. Jiang Zhimiao groaned, teeth clenched in pain. Grandfather Zhang's eyes snapped to his second son. You. Discipline her at once, he roared. Jiang Zhimiao hesitated. But before he could step forth, the soldiers of Yaomen stormed in at the uproar. How long will you stir trouble here? Their captain thundered. If you will not cease, I shall use the whip. Crack. The lash snapped through the air. The crowd scattered in terror, fleeing every which way. Su Yurong, who had watched in dread, finally exhaled in relief. Her heart still trembled. But seeing her daughter stand tall and unshaken, she knew Zhimiao had taken one step further beyond weakness. Yet deep inside, worry gnawed at her. This break with the Jiang clan was final. The road to the northern frontier would be harsher than ever. Zhimiao only gave a faint smile, turning to comfort her mother. Mother, rest now. Do not fret. Tomorrow, another path will open. Mingzhu and Minghuai clung to their mother's hands, whispering softly, Mother, come sleep with us. Su Yurong could only sigh once more. Whatever lay ahead, they would move forward, step by step. Chapter 17, The Thorn Talisman. Late summer. The sun sank little by little, dusk spilling over the sky. When it was time to sleep, Jiang Zhimiao spoke sternly, warning the children to shut their eyes and behave. Su Yurong bent down and gently rubbed their bellies. Soon their breathing fell into rhythm, soft and even, like the low tune of a flute. Zhimiao sat quietly at their side, warmth in her heart. She was secretly glad that before the fight she had spent 1 point in the heavenly mall to buy a body-fixing talisman. Though she had only 481 points left, it was worth it, it had saved her life. The surprise box that had appeared then had been perfect. Her eyes had lit up, she had purchased without hesitation. The talisman's use was simple, paste it upon the target and their body would freeze instantly. Best of all, it was transparent, unseen, drawing no suspicion. Her worries had eased greatly. That Zhao woman is unbearable. If not taught a lesson, she will never stop, Zhimiao thought. She opened the mall again, scrolling until her gaze caught on another charm. Chi Chi Fu Talisman. Tired of being bullied? Fear not. Chi Chi Fu will act in your place. Whoever dares harm you will taste pain in return. Note, effective for 7 days, active from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. On the first day, it may cause seizures. Use with caution. It cost only 1 point. Without hesitation, she bought it, even paying an extra point for the comfort of satisfaction. Truly, a bargain. That night, Jiang Zhimiao slept like a babe. But Zhao ground her teeth in fury, tossing, sleepless and restless, eaten alive by envy. Jiang Zhimiao, beaten and bruised, groaned through the night. Jiang Zhili clenched his fists, eyes red with hate, glaring at Zhimiao in silence. One day, I will have my revenge. None of them slept until dawn. At first light, the exile column marched on. Zhimiao held the children's hands, trailing at the rear. They had gone but a short distance when a shrill cry split the air. Help! My mother, she has collapsed. Her whole body is convulsing. Help us! It was Jiang Zhili's desperate shout. All eyes turned. There lay Zhao, writhing on the ground, foam spilling from her lips, limbs thrashing as if stricken with epilepsy. Move aside. A Yaoman runner shoved through the crowd, crouched with a look half pity, half disgust. He splashed cold water across her face, then pressed the acupoint at Rinzhong. Slowly, Zhao came back. Though summer still lingered, the morning air was cool. Soaked to the bone, Zhao shivered and babbled in terror. Fetch a doctor, what is wrong with me, hurry, she wailed. Zhili wept, begging the runners to take pity. But seeing that Zhao still had strength to cry, they brushed it aside. The column had 50 li yet to travel. They pushed forward. Mingzhu leaned close and whispered in her sister's ear. Elder sister, that fourth aunt deserved it. Zhimiao only nodded, eyes sharp. Indeed. Karma always finds its way. The talisman had worked flawlessly. All that day Zhao collapsed again and again. Whispers spread, yet none dared intervene. Each time she revived on her own, the runners only ordered Jiang Zhili to care for her mother, or suffer punishment herself. Zhili nearly broke. Sleepless all night, now forced to shoulder her mother's wild fits, her face turned pale, eyes brimming with tears she could not shed. The column entered a dense wood. The yeomen cracked their whips, snap, snap, driving the pace faster. The children, distracted, pointed and chattered. Mingzhu cried out, "Look, sister! Such a huge nest!" Zhimiao glanced up. On a great elm tree hung a nest as wide as a dish, crowded with noisy crows. But then came the sound of retching. Looking back, she saw the flock of crows circling over Zhao and Zhili. And then, splatter. Splatter, droppings rained down upon them. Ah! Get away! Zhili shrieked, clutching her head. Zhao wailed, Zhili. Drive them off. But the crows did not relent until they were satisfied. Only then did they wheel away, leaving mother and daughter fouled head to toe. Onlookers turned their faces aside in disgust, pity in their eyes but no one daring to step closer. The stench alone was enough to make them gag. Zhili longed to weep but had no tears left. At last she begged the yeoman runners, "Please. I cannot walk further. Send someone to carry my mother." But no help came. The misery Zhao had sown now fell upon her daughter's shoulders. Chapter 18, Evil Reaps Its Own Reward. The yeoman officer turned back. Zhao's face was pale, her legs trembling like reeds in the wind. After a moment's thought, he pointed to one of the prisoners nearby to come and assist. But Zhao had just suffered convulsions like epilepsy. The other exiles all recoiled several paces, fearful of contagion. None dared approach. The officer's eyes then fell on a woman standing closest, Aunt Lu, the favored concubine of Jiang Xingshuo's fourth chamber. Though childless, she had survived in the household by guile and cunning, never once bowing to Zhao's domineering ways. When she saw the officer's finger directed at her, Aunt Lu turned pale as if struck by lightning. "Sir, could you not choose another?" "I." Before the words were finished, the officer's icy gaze snapped upon her. "You dare bargain with me?" Aunt Lu jolted, instantly forcing a smile though her heart quaked. "I would not dare, sir, I would not. I'll go at once." She rushed to Zhao's side without further protest. Seeing her comply, the officer turned away and barked to drive the column onward. Zhao was regaining her senses. When she saw Aunt Lu coming to support her, she wailed again, seeking sympathy. But in truth, no one cared anymore. Though Aunt Lu held her up, her eyes glinted with resentment. She squeezed Zhao's arm hard, drawing a scream of pain, so shrill, so deranged it was as if to summon pity from all around. Jiang Zhili, watching her mother thrash, broke down in tears. Then suddenly burst out. "Mother! Be silent. If you go on like this, you will drag the whole column into misery." The words cut deep. Zhao froze, tears brimming, turning her face away, too cowed to cry further. Zhili sighed, her tone softening. "Mother, I did not mean to scold you. Listen to Aunt Lu. Save your strength. Say less now, or you'll only suffer more later." At these words, Zhao's fury ebbed. Her sobs dwindled into silence. Seeing this sudden meekness from mother and daughter, Aunt Lu refrained from adding insult, and simply supported Zhao quietly as they walked on. From the side, Jiang Zhimiao let out a faint sigh. Truly, evil is punished by evil hands. The wicked destroy one another. Chapter 18, Evil Reaps Its Own Reward. The mid-morning sun blazed overhead, though the great roadside trees cast patches of shade. Warm wind stirred the blossoms of plum along the way, carefree in their dance. While the exiles trudged on, lips cracked from heat, bodies heavy with fatigue. Even with her firefly ice bracelet easing the heat, Zhimiao could not withstand the burning sun. She glanced at the children. Their steps faltered, their faces pale. "Rest a while. Drink some water first," she said softly. She took out the kettle, handed it to Su Yurong, then knelt to feed Mingzhu and Minghuai mouthfuls of water. The little ones clutched the bottle, drinking every drop. Cool water slid down their throats, as if washing into their hearts. Zhimiao lifted the kettle herself and drank. Relief spread through her body, her blood flowing clear. Though the water was soon gone, she felt content. Before long, the column reached the shade of a towering tree. Everyone nearly collapsed at once. Even the Yaomen runners dripped with sweat. "Rest here. We march again at noon," the order rang out. Hard cakes were distributed, made the night before, tasteless and tough as stone. They carried a faint sour smell, but filled the belly. Zhimiao tore a small piece, forced herself to swallow. Dry and coarse, but better than hunger. She had only 479 points left, she dared not squander them. Beneath the tree, the Wen family ate their hard cakes in silence. Little Jingming, his eyes wide, brightened when Mingzhu came near. Grabbing his mother's sleeve, he whispered, "Mother, that is my friend. Her name is Mingzhu." Zhimiao quickly followed with the children, not wishing them to stray. The Wen family looked up and saw the fair-skinned little girl, holding a pale pink toy, smiling with bright eyes. Wen Zhuxing stiffened for an instant before lowering his gaze, returning to his cake. Seeing his calm manner, Zhimiao felt at ease. She curved her lips in a polite smile, bowing slightly. "Respectful greetings, uncle, aunt. My name is Jiang Zhimiao, elder sister to Mingzhu." Chapter 19, Retribution. The sun climbed higher, beating down mercilessly. Though the road was shaded here and there, the march left the prisoners' faces haggard, their steps heavy. Zhao, supported by Aunt Lu and her daughter, staggered along. Her body weakened further with each li. Murmurs spread among the exiles, some mocking, some pitying, none offering help. The Yaomen runners barked for order. "Keep moving. Fall behind and you will taste the whip." The sound of lashes, crack, crack, kept the column taut. At the rear, Jiang Zhimiao steadied Mingzhu and Minghuai, her gaze calm. The talisman she had purchased worked unseen, its invisible thorn twisting Zhao's fate without a trace. Evil reaps its own reward, she thought. No hand of mine need be raised. Heaven itself arranges the reckoning. The children trudged on, lips cracked, yet their spirits brightened when Zhimiao told them stories of far-off mountains and rivers. Their laughter rose, mingling with the wind, softening the bitterness of the march. Su Yurong glanced at her daughter, pride mingled with sorrow. This child of hers, once frail and timid, now carried a quiet strength that steadied them all. Chapter 19, Words Enough to Bring Tears. Since the meeting with Wen Zhuxing, this was the first time the Wen family properly encountered Jiang Zhimiao. They studied the young woman with interest, and her smile and courteous greeting eased the tension. Strangers soon became companions, a fragile trust woven in the span of a few breaths. Zhimiao felt their sincerity. She did not wish to march toward the far north alone. To have a family of kind heart beside her meant watchful care upon the road. For now she was but an ordinary woman, unable to rely solely upon herself. The children too needed playmates. Humans are creatures of society. With friends, even hardship takes on a spark of life. After a time of greetings and talk, Zhimiao took the hands of the younger ones and returned to their place. The heat pressed down, the sun blazing mercilessly. Without her firefly ice bracelet, she might well have been undone. Soon the rest ended. The yeoman runners roused the column with sharp cries. By late afternoon, the sun beat like a great torch, searing flesh as though roasting. Zhimiao's very bones felt as if melting. Yet, having stolen a brief nap, she still had strength to move. The journey stretched without end. 50 li each day, 10,000 li to the far frontier. They would not arrive until the 11th month. From blazing summer, they would march into deep winter. This was true suffering. A sigh escaped her lips. Too many words are like tears spilling over. What could one do, save grit one's teeth and step forward? That afternoon the runners urged the column into dense forest paths. To shorten the way. Thorns and weeds tore at skin. Cries of pain rose. Sweat drenched every back, their pace slowed. Crack. Crack. Went the whips, lashing them forward. Zhimiao glanced aside. There was Madame Wen, bearing little Jingming on her back. Her stride steady, unshaken. She was no ordinary woman, but the daughter of a general's household, trained in arms since youth. As the sun sank, the sky turned flame red. But the exiles had no heart to admire it. They dragged their feet like walking corpses. Not far now, endure a little. 10 li more to the post station, the runners shouted. The words were like light at the tunnel's end. Each forced their weary body onward. By nightfall they reached the post station. Yet this lodging was worse than the last. An abandoned house, leaking, crowded. The Wen and Jiang families shared one room, and so found some comfort together. When the chains were struck off, Wen Zhuxing lifted Jingming in his arms and joined them. Soon all collapsed to the ground, longing only for rest. But hostile eyes still followed Zhimiao in the gloom. The Zhao clan, smoldering with resentment, dared not act under the guard's watchful gaze. Yet their hatred burned. Night deepened. Children's laughter rang bright. Mingzhu was a spark of joy, filling the room with light-hearted chatter. The grown-ups, weary to the bone, could scarce lift a finger. But children still ran in circles with boundless energy. Zhimiao smiled, amused. Children are truly wondrous. But other parents, too exhausted to indulge them, snapped with the flat of their shoes smack across little bottoms. The racket ceased at once, peace settling over the room. Zhimiao shook her head with a laugh. So many ways to raise children, each household its own path. Chapter 20, The Cunning Gaze. Night fell, deep and heavy. The camp lay hushed, blanketed beneath a black sky. Knowing it was time to rest, Zhimiao urged the children to bed. If they played any longer, they would disturb the weary. Besides, their small bodies needed rest to grow strong. After fetching water from the well to wash, she tucked them beneath their thin bedding. Their soft, even breaths soon rose in unison, like a lullaby in the dark. Zhimiao exhaled in relief, a burden lifted from her heart, for at last the three little ones slept soundly. Nearby, Su Yorong's mother and Madame Wen began to speak. Like sisters who had met too late, they found instant kinship. Their laughter echoing gently in the night. Elder sister, these straw shoes are truly well made. Your craft is admirable. It is Zhimiao's handiwork. She wove them for us women folk. Soft as silk slippers, not a single blister on my feet. Madame Wen cast a glance toward Zhimiao, surprise flickering in her eyes. She had thought a young lady of the Jiang clan skilled only in embroidery or arranging flowers. Never had she expected such deftness at weaving. Zhimiao smiled faintly. If you wish to learn, I shall gladly teach you. It is no great matter. To build ties with a family of kind heart, this she desired. Before long, the Wen family themselves learned the craft. Within a single 3 pairs of straw shoes were complete. Only the last remained, and Zhimiao bent down to weave a small pair for little Jingming with her bare hands. The Wen family showered her with thanks, their smiles warm with gratitude. When the shoes were tried, Wen's parents took a few steps and nodded. Truly comfortable. Even when Zhuxing, who hesitated at first, removed his own shoes to try them. His face eased, relieved that there was nothing shameful in the gift.
Until the next chapter, may your dreams never be exiled.